Now, Ukraine's president has confirmed rumors he's looking at replacing the country's top general. The shakeup has raised concerns among Ukrainians and observers over in Washington. It comes as Republicans in the United States continue to block aid and much-needed munitions to Kyiv. We can now bring in our international affairs commentator, Douglas Herbert. Doug, great to see you.
How are you?
It doesn't look like Ukraine will be getting any substantial funding from the United States until potentially after the U.S. elections.
Let's even take substantial out of there. It looks like any aid to Ukraine, military or otherwise, is basically about to collapse. Why? It all boils down to Donald Trump. Now let's do the backstory. Let me explain what I mean by that. One French news outlet actually headlined today, editorially, Trump sacrifices Ukraine for his campaign. What are we talking about? For months, the Republicans in Congress, the MAGA beholden, most of them Republicans, that is beholden to Trump, have been demanding, okay, Joe Biden, you want aid for Israel and Ukraine? You want to tie them together? Okay, fine. Let's do it. Let's negotiate. You give us a clampdown on border security, that is U.S.-Mexico immigration border security, much stricter restrictions on who can enter and the conditions under which they can stay, and then we'll talk. We'll talk about aid to Ukraine. So what happened? Well, it looked like as of last Sunday, there'd been a deal, bipartisan, a compromise in the Senate between Democrats and Republicans, almost unheard of these days, on just such a package, which would tie wartime aid for Ukraine and Israel and also other allies with tougher immigration measures. And by tougher, I mean much tougher. We're talking about a package of draconian immigration restrictions in terms of who can come for asylum, expulsions, the conditions, detentions, all of it. It seemed to meet everything on the Republicans' wish list, except for one thing. Donald Trump, who never read the text of the bill before it was released, was already slamming it. And he was basically already signaling and telling Republicans in Congress, do not pass this deal, which leads to a lot of people on Capitol Hill, skeptical and not so skeptical, to say that this is not about what's in the immigration bill. This is about Republicans doing the bidding of Donald Trump for his campaign. Donald Trump needs to use immigration, or the lack of immigration reform, which is badly needed in America, as a cudgel with which to beat Joe Biden, to make him look weak, to make him look fumbling, to make him look like he is deliberately presiding over, intentionally, chaos at the border. So he could not have a package. No matter what was in that package, you could argue, there was no way it was going to pass muster with Donald Trump. He needs this to campaign. So the bill's about to fall on the wayside, not just in the House, which is hardline, really hardline, but also Republicans in the Senate seem to be abandoning ship. No one wants to basically cross Donald Trump, who isn't back in the White House yet. The election isn't.
And he's not even
November.
back on the Republican ticket for now.
Exactly.
So what are the consequences of all of this?
The consequences, well, don't trust me. Let's hear it from the real horse's mouth, the CIA chief. CIA Director William Burns, a man who has been present on many geopolitical fronts lately, including in the Middle East. He recently wrote an article, a pretty hard-hitting article in Foreign Affairs magazine, and he wrote, and let's bring it up. This is what he said with regard to if the U.S. ditches this $60 billion, which was in this package to Ukraine. He wrote, it's a long quote, but worth looking at. Keeping the arms flowing will put Ukraine in a stronger position if an opportunity for serious negotiations emerges. It offers a chance to ensure a long-term win for Ukraine, a strategic loss for Russia. Ukraine could safeguard its sovereignty and rebuild, while Russia would be left to deal with the enduring costs of Putin's folly. For the U.S., here's the clincher, to walk away from the conflict at this crucial moment and cut off support to Ukraine would be an own goal of historic proportions. That is a really bad mistake. It's not just the U.S. Sitting up and taking notice at the breakdown of this deal, apparent breakdown. It's also European allies who say that this jeopardizes all of transatlantic security. This is a big deal because it shows that immigration's always been an almost intractable debate and matter over decades in the U.S. But with the way right now the MAGA party is rallying behind Donald Trump and doing his bidding almost blindly, is frustrating not just Democrats, but Republicans as well, who some of whom were in favor of this package, but see how the chips are falling in the party, and once again are unwilling or unable, for political reasons, to cross Donald Trump. So Donald Trump dictating everything. I will just note the Republicans in the House, the hardliners, they are putting forward their own alternative proposal for $17 billion plus in aid just for Israel. Standalone package for Israel. Joe Biden, the White House says, that is dead on arrival. They will veto a unilateral bill.
I like how you've renamed the Republican Party the MAGA Party. Thank you very much for